Going on, Warriors? If you guys are focused on building muscle and that's a main thing you want to do as a type 1 diabetic and you're unsure, how do I maximize muscle growth? You're just sick and tired of maybe not maximizing what it is that you know you're capable of. And even if you're someone who's looking to burn body fat, what's also important is making sure you're training effectively to build muscle, because this can actually help to increase things like your metabolism, can help improve things like blood sugar. So it is important for us to look at key things to help us to maximize muscle growth. So the most important stuff I'm saving for the end of this video, just to bring it all together. So make sure you guys stick around. Hey, if it's your first time on the channel, guys, I help diabetics to build muscle, burn body fat, and control their blood sugars. But you know what, guys? If you're not a diabetic and you like things like supplement reviews and food reviews and all that good stuff, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below too, and just join the Warrior family, the Warrior clan, baby. We're getting it done. So let's just dive right in here. I got you guys. Now, there's three things that I want to dive into that are extremely important, and I'm going to save the most important stuff for the end to really bring this all together. Now, some of this stuff you might have heard of, and some of this stuff you might not have heard of yet, but they're all important for the big picture. Now, the first thing you have to consider is the FOXO gene. Now, genes are just sets of instruction within our DNA that tell the body to create certain proteins that are designed to serve certain functions in our body. Now, one of those genes is called the FOXO gene. Now, the FOXO gene, when it's activated, it increases how much protein and muscle tissue gets broken down. Your body produces endogenous insulin, so insulin that's coming from your pancreas. Hence, these non-diabetics that don't know what the hell we go through. It's all love at the end of the day. But what ends up happening is that your body is gonna upregulate this FOXO gene more, meaning that you're constantly breaking down more muscle tissue than a non-diabetic as a result. Now, if somebody's on injections or they're on an insulin pumps tend to help to prevent that muscle breakdown from happening a little bit more efficiently than people that are on injections. But the big picture says that diabetics, especially type 1s, will break down more muscle protein as a result of this FOXO gene being increased right within our body. And so the second thing that's important to understand about how you're different and how this can impact muscle development is understanding insulin. And this does tie into the FOXO gene as well. But insulin is an anabolic hormone. That just means that it's not a steroid, it's a peptide hormone, meaning strings of amino acids that function in the body to help with certain signaling that happens in our body. Now, insulin specifically helps to shuttle things like amino acids into our body cells, glucose, that goes without saying. It also helps to upregulate or trigger certain pathways like our mTOR pathway I talk about a lot, which is directly responsible for helping our body to repair muscle. Also, when we remember, insulin can also suppress some of that FOXO gene when it's in the body. Now, even though exogenous insulin, or insulin that we take as an injection, is not going to function as well as getting it right from our pancreas, we can still suppress it somewhat. So we see the importance of insulin for helping to turn off that FOXO gene or suppress it when it's time, so the body doesn't break down too much muscle tissue. And then also, when we understand the importance of insulin now, when it comes to eating things like carbohydrates, and now we take our non-diabetics who might be on low carbohydrate diets, high protein diets, their bodies are getting triggered, insulin's getting triggered just by eating protein alone, meaning that that anabolic hormone of insulin that helps us to build muscle, shuttle nutrients in to preserve muscle like glucose that gets stored as glycogen, amino acids into the muscle cells to build and repair, they're not getting that same benefit from insulin because their body's not releasing insulin when they consume something like protein. So then it becomes important for us to consider what diet's going to make the most amount of sense for us as a result. The third thing that's also important is focusing on things that are going to actually build muscle, because the more muscle you build, the more sensitive you can become to insulin, meaning over time you can actually decrease things like your basal rate over time, which is also important for increased fat burning that you want to do down the road, and having sustainable weight loss and sustainable fat burning with building muscle. And what's important as well to remember, about 70 to 90% of glucose disposal happens by your insulin shuttling glucose into your muscle cells. And so somebody that's not focused on building muscle as a type 1 diabetic, and who understands that they are more susceptible to not building muscle because of things that we just talked about, like your FOXO gene, for example, then you're gonna have more issues regulating blood sugar levels because you have less muscle on board. Now, as a result, what does this all mean? What this means is that it's more important for us to focus on things like calories, focus on things like macronutrients, carbohydrates, because carbohydrates help us to preserve muscle, because we shuttle more glucose into the muscle cells, gets stored as glycogen, and we know, again, 70 to 90% of glucose disposal happens in the muscle, so we shuttle that to the muscle, which then helps us out when we work out and we train. This then ties into things like your energy systems. The second energy system is your glycolytic system. We're not going to dive into that today, but it's something to start to look up. The glycolytic system, meaning our bodies require glucose for our second energy system in order to function at our best. And so if we're not functioning at our best, we're not maximizing muscle growth either. And so we also have to think about then carbohydrates, protein. Get protein up about 0.7 grams per pound of body weight at the very least. Focus on making sure you get enough carbohydrates on board. And if you're very low right now, I'd say if someone is less than about 100 grams a day, focus on a build phase where you go a little bit higher than 100 grams. Maybe you need 150, everybody's slightly different, or start with 200. Just try increasing it slightly to see how you feel. And that will help you with your lifts. You'll build a little bit more muscle. You'll preserve a little bit more muscle. You'll have insulin that gets shuttled in, remembering that our body doesn't produce insulin with just eating protein, where non-diabetic does. So that carbohydrate, when we pair that with things like protein, allows us to shuttle insulin in. So then you think post-workout, and that FOXO gene, for example, is something that's already being upregulated due to low insulin. Now you have what's called EPOC, excess post-oxygen, because sometimes your metabolism after your workout's ramped up, meaning you're actually breaking down muscle tissue post-workout. Your job should be to get carbohydrates in, get insulin in, to stop to, one, we suppress the FOXO gene. We also start to push, we signal your body to start to store and repair, because now insulin's gonna shuttle glucose in to your muscle cells to start to repair, to get you ready for the next workout. It's also gonna help to shuttle amino acids, the building blocks of protein, into your muscle cells to get ready for the next workout as well, right? And now the third thing is remembering to focus on things like resistance training to build muscle. You'll get your cardiovascular system up. Like, even all you have to do is walk post-workout on an incline, and then focus on maximizing progressive overload with resistance training. Over time, you should be focused on increasing your weight, increasing what you're doing. If you're doing the same thing and just going through the motions and just lifting things up, it's just not going to take things to the level that you need to take it to really maximize muscle development. And you can even focus on things like drop sets, supersets, where you're lightening the weight before you rest in between. Go to the gym with a purpose and a game plan in mind, and make it a lifestyle. All these things are just gonna help you to make sure that you understand more about how your body is different, and it's also gonna help you take things to the next level when it comes to muscle development, which also is gonna help you in terms of how you control your blood sugars as well. So I hope that helped you guys out. If you guys have any questions, just drop them down below. You guys know I got you. Just gonna finish up this pump real quick, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one, baby.